Hello, friends. Hey, welcome to the Cornerstone Collective. We're glad that we had the chance to be with you. My name is Jay, and I'm your host. With me is Gage.
Hey, how's it going?
And Angus.
Hello, hello.
And today we're jumping right in. We were talking right before we started today on some of the ridiculous haircuts and some of the things about growing up. All of us kind of are in that same pocket where Angus and I are slightly older than Gage, so we're kind of on that cusp of like
Slightly?
zennials slash
Is that what you tell
millennials.
yourself, dog?
I think you're also a millennial, by the way.
I wouldn't doubt it. I wouldn't
so
doubt
I think
it.
we're in the same, sort of, the same generation.
sure.
I got him outlast by like a decade, but don't worry, I'm going to count it together. No, but
There you
enough
go.
so that it was like you grew up with some like some freedom. You grew up with all that stuff. Definitely not how it is now. So you're running around.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, the reins weren't. Here's the thing, dude. Like, if you had good grades, and you were doing the things you're supposed to be doing, like the reins weren't on completely. You know what I mean?
Right.
Lights come on, you aren't home, you're still catching a beating. But 100, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
if you grew up in the right time with the right people, you're coming home when the lights are on.
Yeah. Get home.
That's it. That's it, dude.
I remember very vividly because I used to be able to go in the square mile of the neighborhood we lived in. So we lived in like suburbia. Most of Phoenix is suburbia, so it's like big master plan communities. So mine was a square mile, and I had to stay in the square mile. But I needed to be, when the lights came on, I needed to be like at the house, man.
Sure.
And I remember being like 3 blocks over, and my dad got home, and the lights came on, and we were just still messing around. And I heard him get out there and get that loud whistle because he could do the. And as soon as I heard it, I was like, "Doom." I could hear,
Sure.
ears pop up.
Yeah.
And we sprinting to get to the house.
Oh, I bet.
Trying to not catch something. But yeah, it was
Heart sank and
catch a paddle, catch hands. Not
a
really.
fact.
But-
That's
For
a-
me,
Hey,
I was
it
just
is.
limited to the wall, with it being within the walls of Litchfield Park.
Which is still huge.
It's a huge
Yeah,
area.
That's
huge.
enormous.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that was mine, and there
Yeah.
was, I was often on other
Yeah.
sides.
I think
of
it's
Litchfield.
bigger than a square mile, actually.
Oh,
Because
yeah,
it goes out like
Yeah.
on the
Oh, yeah.
Indian school bypass.
Yeah, so I was kind of wherever we wanted to be as long as we were home because there was no hearing the whistle. But if you got home and they were outside waiting, that
You're
was
toast.
that was
Yeah.
the problem.
For sure.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, it was before they built up the rest of everything. Once they did, it was a different story. And when we moved away, like once I got out of there, we were living in a different situation. So we moved out to like a house that was older, but it was on the edge of the desert. So then suddenly my whole area was just go in the desert. I didn't have a square mile to go anywhere. So it was
Yeah,
just
right.
like, hey, I'm in the desert. I'm out here in the desert.
That's what's up.
So I'm just a desert rat running around like a crazy person.
Gotta love it.
We were talking about some of the ridiculous haircuts and stuff like that, and just parents putting you on the cheap. And you were talking about wrestling and a bad cut you got when you were in high school. I
dog.
think.
It was at that moment I stopped trusting my mom to touch my hair. It's like take me to Great Clips, take me to Sport Cuts, like anything besides this. Right? I didn't know about barbershops growing up
For
because
sure.
we didn't have barbershop money.
Yeah,
But yeah, dude, so there's like the little point that comes down from your front line and that curves down over by your ear for like a sideburn. She just decided that little corner wasn't necessary and gave me a straight helmet in the front. It was rough, right? But like at that point, I'm like, I liked my hair. It was a certain length and everything for a purpose, like for wrestling anyways. Like I like grinding my head on people's faces.
yeah.
Giving them like rug burn, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like there's a purpose in this and I'm not cutting it at this point. So I just got to I'm committed.
I have helmet head.
You know what I mean? Now I'm dyeing a pink streak through my hair, and I'm saying it's for breast cancer awareness. Like, this is what I'm doing, dude. This is what I'm doing. I'm all in.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, man. And we used to have tons of different, like, little, not necessarily rituals, but, like, gimmicks. You know what I mean? We'd have fun with things. So, like, we'd show up to weigh-ins, and everybody on our team, I say everybody, but, like, there was a handful of people that had superhero, like, gimmicks. And one of them was, like, Green Lantern. It's just boxer briefs whenever you're pulling up to weigh-ins.
Yeah, sure.
So the homeboy had Green Lantern, another one was Batman, right? Another one was like Robin or, whatever, right? And I pulled up Superman every time. And I also had, I didn't tell you guys this, I had like these knee-high socks
Oh, nice.
that were Superman and had a cape on the back, dog.
Oh yeah.
Oh, dude. You want to talk about putting the fear in people. You pull up with some Superman chonies and capes on your socks, bro, they're like, oh, this dude knows what he's doing.
The fear creeps in a completely different way. Like, this guy is out to lunch.
Pure
man.
intimidation.
That's right, 100%.
Oh, man. Yeah, that was part of the fun of it, right? Is like everybody had their own little swagger, right? Their own little piece that made them unique.
That's funny.
Whether it be like two different brands and colors of wrestling shoes, right?
Right.
So it's like got that little bit of
Yep.
You got that steez everywhere you go on the mats.
That's cool.
Yeah, it was fun. It was a lot of fun.
Man, I was thinking about that, and like as you're growing up, how I was the oldest, and it's just me and my brother, so I was the older kid, and then I had a lot of friends who they had a younger sibling that was the one that they had, and so they were the youngest of like a stack, and so they had older siblings, and they were kind of like the love child in the pocket, like a little bit years later, and so they got all the stuff because their parents were super busy doing stuff, but they had things, but their parents were never around, so they just kind of ran wild with all this stuff. So friends, brand new bikes, all stuff. They would just abuse them, dude. And I was like buying all these really cool stuff off of them secondhand. You know, buying the roller skates, buying the skateboard, buying the bike off of them from hustling, selling golf balls out like, you know, our local municipal golf course or whatever we were doing, just trying to make stuff go. And they made me laugh. So I saved up this money and I got a new mountain bike. And I remember like some older kid was hanging out with us, and it was all a bunch of us little rugrats that lived around there. And everybody had beat up bikes and this brand new bike. And the kid is older. He's like, "Man, you guys didn't even take care of your stuff. Look at Jay. At least he takes care of his stuff." And they're like, "The bike's brand new." It's like, shut up! I didn't ask you. This is the older kid stuff. You're like, I was like, that's right, my bike's new. You know, I was like happy that I had to do something for once.
Love it.
It's classic, man. You beat that thing into the ground.
Of course.
Into the ground. So
of course.
We would jump. You know, it's a mountain bike. Definitely not made for it. You know, it's not like the super big like Trek hyper. You know, hyper spring. Yeah, all the things. I'm just beating the snot out of it, man. It's brake every which way.
That's awesome. That's so cool.
All our bikes came from the police auction.
Hey, there you go.
What's up?
That's literally someone else's bike.
Literally. It's
so
not stolen.
Mine, I knew who it came from. Yours was you never sure.
It's not stolen. It's recovered.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. It's really funny, man. I like that. Oh, man. We were also talking about some of the craziness, and I was thinking about, we were talking about hairstyles. I know, like, as a theater kid, you switched up your hair like a grip.
Well, my parents didn't let me do my hair very much at all. There were 2 times though because I always wanted electric blue hair.
Okay,
and they always said no, you know. And so I got into this show. It was a fantasy show that had like fairies and goblins and all this stuff in it. And so I go to the director. I go, please tell my parents I have to dye my hair for this show. He's like, okay, well, I guess you could do it green if you wanted. And I was like, okay, great. So I went and told my parents, hey, the director says I have to dye my hair green. And they're like, okay. So they went and asked. He's like, yeah.
Go with character. Yeah, sure.
It'd be great if he had green hair, you know? And so it was kind of like whatever.
Right.
But my parents said, okay. That was when Manic Panic and stuff was like all the, you know, it was super popular.
Yeah, right.
So I wanted it to be a little more permanent, but my parents and we decided on a 3-wash dye.
Okay.
And so I got this emerald green. It was beautiful. I put it in for the first show, and after the first night, I washed it out, and it wasn't as pretty.
Of course,
I mean, it lost all its sheen and
half
all that
luster.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Sure. So I was like, well, we're not going to do that. So I went and bought another box of it, and I put it in, and then I didn't wash my hair for the run of the show, so that it was that brilliant emerald green. So I left this temporary dye in my hair for 3 full days.
Wow.
So that it would just be like, everyone's like, whoa, your hair is so amazing. I was like, yeah, but it's a temporary dye, whatever.
Yeah.
You know, and so after, once I washed it out and everything, it came to a nice grass stained green. In fact, my freshman science teacher called me grass stain. So whenever I'd raise my hand, he'd go, yeah, grass stain.
Really?
Yeah.
Grass
stain. Good. That's good. That's a good teacher.
So it was supposed to be a 3 washes comes out. Right. It was there until it completely grew out.
Grew all the way
it
out.
was the whole, yeah.
Wow.
And then the other time I was in another version of that show that had been rewritten and redone. And so this time I was a goblin. So I was like, oh, I'm going to dye my hair black. So I got the director again, my buddy. He's like, yeah, it'd be great if his hair was black because, you know, goblins don't have blonde hair.
Sure, right.
And so similarly, I did it. I learned my lesson, so I didn't do the same thing. But it was at the same time NSYNC was really popular.
Okay, yeah.
But I had bleach blonde hair because I was a swimmer, and so I was always out in the sun and everything. So when it started to grow out, I looked like I was doing the reverse of Justin Timberlake. So because he had the dark hair with frosted tips.
Yeah, frosted tips.
I had frosted roots and black tips, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's so cool!" But really, I just looked like my hair was thinning in high school. So.
I remember those things where it's like you had the multicolor hair or whatever for whatever reason in my head. Like that.
My whole thing, I dressed really weird though.
Yes.
So like I split all my pants from the knee down, and I made bell bottoms out of everything because I found a pair of platforms at Goodwill or Buffalo Exchange, and I was like, oh, these are great. And so, well, if you're gonna wear platforms, and with my stature, platforms are always a benefit. So it was great. I was able to.
So you made flares.
Yeah,
the flare pants.
Yeah, so I flared them all out. I had them with like sequins and smiley faces and just all kinds of crazy stuff, and then I would dress really weird.
That's crazy.
Because so being in theater, I love to watch people's reactions,
right.
So that's what what it was. I was just a walking, I wanted to watch people, and so like for Christmas, it became this thing that I would decorate myself as a Christmas tree every morning. So, and what I would do is the week leading up to Christmas break, I would add something new. So like I'd add
like an ornament or like
I'd add ornaments.
Oh,
today, and then tomorrow is tinsel, and then the next day is elf shoes. And
that's so cool.
And so I would come, and my bag would be decorated and lights, and so like I walked. I got so many threats. People just didn't get my style.
Plus, it's like where we grew up, it was like mainly a mix between like prep kids that lived in one area whose parents were in business and stuff, and then like kind of a more hood area. Yeah. And we went to school in the hood area. So exactly, even though you lived on that side, I kind of lived a little bit past you, but it was like that was the deal.
Yeah, they did not. It was not received well. I got lots of threats. I got lots of invitations to the parking lot after school. And,
because you were dressed like a Christmas tree.
Yeah, and that lasted. Yeah. That lasted for a couple of years until they had a certain perception of me, and that's a whole other story.
Yeah, that's a different story.
But that's a different story.
Yeah, man, that stuff's crazy. My parents didn't care about that. They were like fine with, because it was the rule with like your grades and stuff. So as long as I had good grades, I was working and stuff since the time I was like 15. So I was always doing something. So like they were fine. My hair was actually got darker as I got older. It was real blonde when I was young. Got darker, so I ended up bleaching my hair a lot. So I had the super platinum blonde hair, and then I would go black, and then I go back to platinum blonde. Back and forth, and calico and all the different in between. But it's mostly super blonde when I was young. Like
that's wild. That's wild, man.
We got pictures of me and Celeste when we first got married. My hair was like real calico, and her hair was more blonder. So it was like she was the first time she really went almost blonde with her hair. It looked awesome, but she hasn't really gone back to it. I think maybe one other time, but not since we were really young. But yeah,
that's crazy.
Haven't ran it, man, in a long time. Haven't ran dyeing the hair and stuff like that. I'm trying to keep it on my head. You know what I mean?
Hey, dog.
Trying to keep it there.
Dude, hang on to what you got. 100. I feel it.
Haven't broke into the hymns or the stuff yet, but
yeah, right.
It might have to go that way.
Hey, dog, I heard Turkey's got great deals. You know what I'm saying?
That's right. Hey, man, if I go the TRT route, just bick it and go the way, 100%. Why not? That's the fun stuff with that. Yeah, I was thinking about hobbies and some stuff like that today. We were thinking about some of those things, man. It's like, it feels like the older I get, the more hobbies I have, because it's just more life you've lived, and I add on more stuff. It's like every hobby I have is like super expensive. I can't afford the stuff I like to do, so I'm trying to prioritize at this point, because I kind of grew up. We didn't have a whole lot. We didn't do without. Like my parents really looked after us, but I kind of grew up as like a drummer, and so I had like big into drumming and a guitar and different things like that. Kind of into those things. Was big into like skateboarding. Was big into like riding bikes and other stuff like that. So I was into those kind of things when I was young, and then hunting and fishing and all that type of stuff, which was more of a controlled thing with my folks or stuff. But fishing when I was young, I just go out and go fish in the ponds and stuff like that. And then as you get older, it's like you add stuff. So, I got into college, started diving, started surfing, started snowboarding, started this, started that. And you're like, dude, I can't afford these things I like.
You almost got to pick one.
Yeah, I got into photography, and we traveled a lot and a bunch of other things. And you got into golf. I'm like, man, this stuff is crazy. I got to pick. What's going on here at some point.
Even then, dude, sometimes you pick one and you still only got the budget for half of that one thing.
That's the problem. That's 100%. I was talking with a neighbor of mine, a friend of ours, Ernie, who shout out Ernie.
Shouts out Ernie.
And Ernie's a good dude. He's run a bunch of different shops. He's done like fab cabinets. They do big trucks and stuff now. The one he's at right now, but he used to run like a gold and silver shop, like the biggest pawn shop in all of the desert out in California. So like that middle space on your way to Indio, he had a massive spot that he ran.
Oh, really?
So I'm like learning all this stuff from. I mean, neighbors with him 6 years, man, and learning all sorts of stuff. And he's like showing me all this stuff about how much gold and diamonds and stuff they used to trade and buy and sell. And
Wow.
he's had like 25 like super high end watches and was showing me all. I was like, that's wild. He had crazy stuff on his wrist back in the day. Went through that phase and then he just moved past it.
He's still got some pretty fancy watches.
He's got a couple. I think
yeah.
I think like he said he's got about 20 left, but I think he's ran through probably that many that he's bought and sold.
I'm sure.
So
Wow.
I'm sure. Yeah.
yeah, he was hitting me with some of them the other day. I was like, this is wildness. And that's always been one of the things that it's like, oh, it'd be nice to have one of these one day. Never really. Every time I've had money to buy it, it's always been a big project or something come up with a family. You got to allocate a different direction.
Of course.
Yeah, I've almost done it. Even being in Switzerland, almost done it before.
Wow, that's cool.
Never did the jump. So maybe someday, who knows? But that's a dangerous one to get into, man. It's stuff like watches.
Dog, here's the thing. I'm into watches. I like watches, but I know my means, right? So like,
yeah.
I know I'm not going to live outside of them. And also, secondhand is like king for me, dude.
Yeah.
I love doing, not necessarily like thrifting, right? I don't really go to vintage shops. I know there's tons of them out here. I just don't really go to them. But like if I'm looking for a watch, or if I'm looking for like a pair of shoes, or if I'm looking for, but we talked before about, that Traeger mini fridge and Apple Watch deal that I had gotten. So like I'm always just trying to find these different things. The only time I've really gotten new watches is like my birthday or Christmas, where my wife gets me something.
That's nice.
Right? You know what I mean? Yeah. So I remember the watch that I got married in, it was like and I'm big on Nixon. I like Nixon. Mm-hmm. I have a Seiko. I have a couple Casios. But most of my watches are Nixon. Mm-hmm. And the one that I'd gotten was all silver with a black face and silver hands, and it was like $50.
Oh, wow.
But it was clean enough to where like I felt comfortable wearing it in my wedding pictures, right?
That's great.
To actually get married in.
Yeah.
But like, dog, I think brand new, it's upwards of like $275.
Yeah.
Which in the watch game, dude, that's
cheap.
Chump change.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But a nice watch though.
For me,
yeah,
dog,
for sure. Yeah.
For me, oh, dude, I'll run a $50 watch all day.
Definitely.
You know what I mean? Especially with work, I can't be wearing hardly any of my watches that I own to work.
Yeah, because they get beat up.
100.
G-Shock or something that'll live.
Yeah, you need a G-Shock or like, a cheaper Casio that you can not worry about dumping.
I got married. I was wearing a Nixon watch. I ran Nixon surf watches and skate watches forever.
Shout out Nixon. You
Shout
guys
out
want to sponsor the podcast, that'd be cool.
Shout out to skateboard boys. So it was like all that whole crew of that era, that stuff. I was big into all that. So I like ran all that stuff too. Big, same.
Yeah, I love it.
So yeah, it's really fun. What kind of stuff have you been into, man?
Well, so I never really got into watches. In fact, the Apple Watch is the first watch I didn't wear a watch when I got married. I had some in high school, but until I got an Apple phone, an iPhone, I didn't wear a watch.
Right,
I just used my cell phone, and then I was like, well, if the watch connects to the phone, I guess But I didn't have anything with that. But as far as our stuff, we're really busy, so I don't have a whole lot of time for hobbies, other than like what naturally fits in. So I love to cook, and so I do. I love to smoke meat and cook. So I like to do that. So I collect kitchen gadgets and different things like that, as long as it's useful.
Yeah.
And then, but the other thing too is my hobby was theater, and my wife is a theater teacher, and so we kind of live our hobby, which is really cool.
Oh yeah.
So like, I mean, I'd love to go camping more and stuff, but because when our schedules are in direct conflict with each other. So Annie's downtime is Christmas break, summer break, all that. That's our busy time.
Right, sure.
And so because of that, we've just structured our life that, we do the fun stuff kind of all the time, which is theater. And so because of that, we do theater as a family, and that's the only reason it works.
Right.
And so it's kind of like our family's hobby. So we do that. And then we like to play board games a lot. So we've been collecting actually Pastor Jay turned us on to a lot of different board games and kind of got the ball rolling. And so now we play board games during the summer because again, we're going to summer camps and different things and doing all the projects that get done here around the church. And so we don't go away, but we play games every night and we do all that kind of stuff. So those are the things that we really like to do.
That's dope. Yeah, I know you guys were. We have some friends. Shout out to the Starkeys, Canadian friends that live in Egypt, and they had the biggest game wall I've ever seen. It's bigger than this whole back wall that we're in our current studio setup. Really big. I mean, like really big, and they had organized like custom shelving for it. It was amazing, dude.
That's so cool.
And they have family that own like a game and toy store in Canada, and so they had like this connection to it. So all the new stuff that came out, they knew about it. So we ended up playing like, that's where like Seven Wonders and all those other like, you know, like Ticket to Ride and all these things are really popular now. Catan, of course, and big games like that. Those were the ones that like we got turned on from them. They had all the expansions, all the other stuff. It was super cool playing with them. They had custom game table that you took the top off and it had the lower down, like almost like a card table, has the felt and different things. Super nice.
That's wild.
Sat 8. Really beautiful. It really, really nice. And so they had really cool like setups. So it was really neat to like see people that got serious about that and like something fun. I know you're into it. Our friend Jeremy, shout out Jeremy. He's into that. Him and his wife. We like playing them. We do a lot of fun games, or even like Kids Against Humanity, like the kids version of some of those things, because we can't do the other version.
That's the only thing. Like growing up, there wasn't really games in the house like that. No board games really.
Yeah.
But when Cards Against Humanity came out, that was.
Some of you guys
course,
did.
This is before Christ. It wasn't some of us. Everybody was at the table. Like 13-year-old sister, everything.
Yep.
We're learning new words all the time. You know what I'm saying?
So for sure.
Like you get a handful of cards and you're like, hold on, I got to Webster this really quick.
Yeah.
You know
And there's still some stuff even in the kids version that you're like, all right, we got to delete this game or this one or whatever.
This card goes in the garbage.
That's pretty fun. We play like Sushi Go. Play stuff that's fast, like after dinner. A lot of times we'll do the same thing. It's pretty fun. So.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think collectively it's funny because my hobbies are not my wife's hobbies at all. Like I'm big into shooting and I like travel, snowboarding, all those other different things. And she likes travel. Obviously, we have all those things in common, but like hasn't really ever got on the photography bug, hasn't really ever got on that other kind of stuff, extreme sports. I'm like trying to make her golf with me, no interest.
That's funny.
Like, but we have a lot, like obviously in living our life together, that's very common. So it's just pretty fun.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that, you know, I'm into that Janaea is into as well. It's just my wife, Janaea, you know, there's times where we don't have the finances again, right? You know, like we picked up skateboarding again. I grew up skating super heavy, and of course I want to take my kids to the skate park and bring them around and just get them involved. You know what I mean? It's an awesome thing. It doesn't cost money. After you get all the hardware and the boards, like they usually last a fairly long amount of time if you're not like skating super heavy on them.
Or you're not very big, so you can crack them. Yeah, exactly.
Thanks for bringing that up.
Sorry about that.
Considering I got to buy a new board right now.
I was thinking about myself.
Yeah, sure, whatever.
Wasn't projection at all.
And then, you know, there's other stuff like she loves shooting too, right? But like the cost of ammo right now is
so
super expensive. You know
that's
what I mean?
such an American thing to say.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it though.
Yeah,
Shouts out to America.
America, baby.
Yeah, and then, you know, all the other things that we'd like to be able to go out and do but cost money, right? Like motorcycles cost money.
Yeah, grips.
Go fishing, you know, that requires time. That's another really hard thing to come by, which I know all of you guys are familiar with the busy schedule. But like skateboarding is one of the really big ones that we want to get back into. Arizona summers, dog, I work outside. I ain't going back outside to do anything. You know what I'm saying? But also, Janaea, my wife, she was skating with me a couple years ago. She had just gotten back into it.
Was it after she had Cassius or before?
I think this was before.
It was right.
It might have been more than a few years ago, actually. Yeah, because Cassius is 3. Cassius is 3.
3. Yeah.
So, anyways, we're out skating. She's just trying to get back into it. She had fallen like 10 years ago and broke her wrist at the skate park trying to like learn how to skate.
Right.
So finally got her comfortable back into it. She'd wore pads for a little bit and she's like, you know, we're just going to kind of hang out. I was teaching her how to kick turn. Park closes in 2 minutes. She takes a digger on the last minute, breaks her other wrist.
Dude, savage.
Yeah, dog. So she, you know, she got the whole surgery. And after that, we're like, all right, well, we got to pump the brakes on the skateboards at least until we get wrist braces. And at that point, everybody's so involved with different things, right? Whether it be work or Carson doing soccer, which we're about to get back into. Hopefully here in the next few months, we're going to try and get everybody in the house some BJJ memberships.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, we're going to go start rolling around again because I grew up doing BJJ as well, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, shout out Aaron and Stacy. They do that with their boys and get all connected to that, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, I love it, man. It builds so much confidence in the kids, you know, because for me, growing up, I was always the smallest. up until I got to like my junior year of high school where I hit this like 6-inch growth spurt during the summer.
Right.
But like I was picked on a lot when I was super young, you know what I mean? So like BJJ was huge for me, right? Like I went from being terrified of conflict to loving the concept of somebody wanting to start conflict, you know?
Which goes backwards into last week, so shout out that.
Yeah. You know, they didn't know what they were doing. They started something that I had to finish. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like it's a lot of fun to do all these things, but you know, there's time and place and circumstances where we're able to, you know, whether it be time or money or energy. And hopefully a new season of those extracurricular things are coming right around the corner. Right now, Carson's deep into Fortnite.
Okay, yeah.
It's video games are only on the weekends, and if he's been doing well in school and all the other caveats that lead into that.
Give him time to do it, yeah.
Right, but like, you know, his birthday just passed, and he probably has well over $130 in gift cards that have gone towards his Fortnite account.
Oh, wow.
It's like he could just buy any skin he wants every day for the next 2 months. You know what I mean?
Wild.
I know. That's
Crazy, right? Because we didn't grow up with that kind of concept of like dumping more money into a video game. Like you got the video game, that's it.
Yeah.
Like you don't got to worry about anything
pumped,
else.
Man. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, now these kids are like, oh, sweet, I got this video game. Now give me money so I can get things on this video game. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
But I got sucked in too, dude.
Dude, we are a smidge older than Gage, but we had when NES came out and Super Mario came out, it was like groundbreaking. It was the jam, but you couldn't save your progress, so there was no saving anything. So it wasn't like you could go and do this and then move forward in the campaign. You just played it until you died. So it was based on whatever lives you had. So we got on it in the afternoon. We get home from church late because my parents stayed and shut down the building, and we were whatever. So I always come home from church late. So we get home, eat some lunch, and then after my dad was done watching whatever he was watching, then we could get on the TV because we only have one TV. Then you can get on the TV and get on the video game. So we're getting on the video game. So we play it. I play Super Mario. I get all the way to level 8 and get all the way to the last level to beat Super Mario. But here's the deal: we had Sunday night church. So my parents needed to be there to do worship and open the building to do worship team. So that meant I had to be there for worship team.
That's right.
And so my mom's like, we're going to leave in 5 minutes. And I'm like, the last level, I'm like, I'm like trying to do the stuff, jump through the fires, whatever, get to Bowser. I'm like almost there. She's like, I told you to get up and go, power button. And I was like, oh no. And dude, it's like hours of work, dude, hours.
Yeah,
and me and my brother both were like, no, you know, like
that's so funny.
She's like, I told you, go get in the car. And I was like, oh man.
That's a fact, though. That's a fact.
It was one of those things that later, you know, you're like, all right, I could get there a lot faster. I knew how to do it. But it was one of those things that you're like, oh man, it was brutal. And we're telling our friends, dude, I was there. No, you weren't. Yes, I was. I was right there. And nobody had phones. You couldn't take a picture. You couldn't prove anything to anybody. Yep. So you had to and everybody was lying out of their teeth about everything back in the day because there's no proof.
Right.
You know, never. It's not it's opposite of today where everything's like fake and it's all AI built. And it's like, oh, your picture is like, you know, of whatever, you hugging Sasquatch, you know, it looks really real. Back in the day, everybody just lied.
I took a Dayquil and jumped over this canal.
Exactly.
Like,
this is 100% how it was. It's like, dude, you can't do an ollie. It's like, no, I did. I kickflipped the gap.
The gap.
You're like, sure you did. It's the same thing for video games. So, yeah, we just my friends didn't believe me. I'm like, no, I did. Ask Jeremy. That was my brother. And no, he did. You know?
Yeah, for sure.
So I got to back you up.
So now they're both liars?
Exactly.
That's so funny.
So it's really funny, but I'm thankful. I mean, it's both a blessing and a curse, right? So it's like your parents, we've talked about this before individually, but it's like one of those things where we know how, you know, hard times make hard men, right? That's the idea, or hard individuals. Yep. So more of the collective term mem. So like the idea is like hard times make hard men, they make better times, better times
make softer men,
softer men make harder times,
yeah.
And harder times start again.
Yep.
And so the idea is to try to stop that circuit in your own situation. Like, you know, the reason I switched away from so many of my hobbies is because my kids got to an age where they were doing tons of activities, and we just decided we were going to allocate our funds, and it was pretty limited, so we're going to allocate our funds towards, you know, club soccer and theater and everything like that, other things they were trying. And so to do that instead, and I think that's what most parents do, you know, is they want to see their kids have an opportunity that they necessarily might not have had. Like, I got to play sports growing up and stuff, but it was like the local AYSO. You know, it's not like club, it's not travel, it's not this or that or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we had to kind of make our way. And so that became more of a thing that we did and invested in time and energy and things like that. which was great. Like, I don't regret that at all.
Yeah, no, there's fruits that's come from that as well,
And
so praise the Lord.
The hard work of your kids, and they're not just in on a video game. They're out doing something or doing something active. And I've been a big fan of all of that, which has been really good. And I think the other thing was we didn't maximize, though I love nice stuff. I've never lived for this stuff. I've been more about the experience. So the experience has been a bigger thing because the memory can never get stolen. Doesn't rot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
you don't have to dust it and put it on a shelf.
There it is. And so it's one of these things where, like a couple thousand photos of travel and some other stuff has been pretty powerful because it's like, man, you remember this? And you pull up an idea, you pull up a time, or we talk about it. It's like, man, you get to relive that investment of something. Whereas,
that's so cool, yeah.
Like I have a bunch of those Nixon watches in a box in my house because they're no longer in rotation. I was so pumped when I first got those. But for that point, it's
if you want to get rid of any, let me know.
They may just come your direction. You never know. But the thing is, like, then it gets wasted, right? Because it's like just shelved. It's like, oh man, I know that's how it was with Ernie telling me about. It's like, oh, I had this like 3 watches that I really want.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, I got all those. They're just sitting in a box in a safe. I'm like, of course they are. He never wears them. Because, he works all the time, man. Guys out there fixing lowrider and doing all sorts of stuff. He never has this fancy watch on.
Man, Scripture tells us, dude, don't build up your treasures here on earth.
There you go.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm looking for that crown so I can cast it back. You know what I'm saying?
That's it, man. And I think there's a balance there, right? So the other thing that we made a decision on was living within our means so that we could really live that and really knock down. We had school debt and some other stuff from when we were young. Still, we just knocked a bunch of that off, doing a little bit more of it, as we go forward for graduate degrees and stuff like that. But
love your praise.
Yeah, man, thankful. You know what I mean? It's like you don't have credit card debt on top. You don't have this other stuff, and that was stuff in the past that we had made decisions on that was bad decisions. You're living, I got it on sale. This, but you're also paying this percentage on the back end because you didn't pay your note this month.
Yeah,
that's insane. So moving away from that, it's been a lot different in how we do. And then living with generosity towards things like kingdom builders and giving to missions and all those type of things, it changes the game. So I don't get as much or don't have as much disposable, but I'm doing something intentional that has, eternal value. So thankful for that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Several years ago, we decided to do, because I was getting so frustrated at the pre-Christmas purge, right? Because before you bring in all these toys, you got to get rid of all the other toys that they don't play with, just so that they can get the toys, so that they can not play with them until next year.
Right.
I was like, why are we on this treadmill? I vote no, and so I floated the idea of a memory Christmas. And so what we do now is we give the kids an option. We're like, okay, do you guys want a gift Christmas or do you want a memory Christmas? And I think it's the last 4 years they always say memory Christmas. And so rather than spending money on gifts and all of that stuff, any of the funds that we would put towards those gifts, I mean, we'll get them like one Lego set because Legos hold value. They're fun. I still have all my Legos from when I was a kid. So they kind of know they'll get one Lego set. And then what we do is we choose some place to go as a family. And so any of the fun, instead of buying toys and all that stuff, and then that money goes towards just going out and having fun.
That's so cool.
And man, it's been so amazing because so many of those toys are gone, and I'm trying to get rid of the other ones. But those memories, again, like they look forward to it. And so this year again, we were like, hey guys, do you want to do a memory Christmas or do you want to do something? And they're like, oh, can we go to the snow? And so that's what we're going to do again this year. Is we're going to go do just a memory Christmas. And we rent a spot. We do like an Airbnb, and we bring our own food and that kind of a thing. We'll go out to maybe 1 or 2 restaurants, but we bring our own board games. And so we just do life in a different place and go and play in the snow and all that stuff. And man, it's incredible.
Super good.
Especially if you don't have too much planned, because then you can relax and you can enjoy it and let it be a vacation.
That's so good.
So we started doing that, and man, it's incredible. I mean, and so I have started to feel the same way about like birthdays and stuff. That why do we have to have so many toys?
Yeah,
so
that's
much
good.
Garbage that comes. Let's just go and have fun together.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, whenever I first started, I just recently started reading that 7 Habits book that you gifted me. Thank you so much for it. Sure. That reminds me, in the beginning of that book, it talks about a paradigm shift, and I think that speaks directly to that. Right, is the fundamental change of realizing, like, okay, all these depreciating things that we, like you said, the treadmill of depreciating things that come in and then go out, right? I think that paradigm shift happens, and we're in the middle of that too. To where we're seeing that every year. It's like, okay, well, we get these 5 grocery bags or garbage bags, and we're filling them up with toys and donating them. And, it's great to be able to donate these toys to kids that don't have them. It's such an amazing opportunity for the kids, and then for your kids to learn generosity and not holding on to things, right, but keeping them loosely. But also, this year we'll be doing the Polar Express and staying up in a cabin up in Williams. And we aren't planning on doing big gifts, because we're, planning on buying a house, want to save as much money as possible, but also for the same reason of the memories.
That's good.
And I think it happens, my wife and I are in the middle of that paradigm shift of changing our perspective of what is really valuable, right? And the value isn't always found in what something costs, you know what I'm saying? Or like what you have to do to earn it, but rather what it creates long term.
Yeah, it's super good. I love that. I think having that kind of a perspective, it's just not that we're anti-stuff. Stuff is great.
I like
stuff can be good things, but it's when it owns you, and that as long as it doesn't own you, then I think it's a beneficial thing.
Yeah,
and I think it's awesome because they'll always remember, going to the snow or going to Polar Express and having some memories like that. It's super cool, man. And I think that's the win. That's really what it's about, is spending the time. Yeah, we did the same thing with a parental gift. We didn't know what to get our parents, man. They have more than us for the most part, and it's like, what do you buy them? They can go get what they want, really.
Sure. Yeah.
Get them another gift card. But we started building a photo book every year. So I've now built a photo book every single year all the way through. So I've done 18 years of photo books.
That's
so Javen
cool.
just graduated from high school, is in college. And so he has ones from the time he was like 6 months old, because like by then he had Christmas. And then so the first couple was just of him, and then Shiloh, and then so
that's
on and
so
so
cool.
forth. So
yeah, that's so cool.
It's pretty cool. So I'm almost committed now until Amelia hits 18. So we got 6 more years of runway.
You aren't shy with taking pictures either, so it wouldn't be hard to stack a book.
That's very helpful. As long as I have room in my phone, or I tote a camera quite a bit.
Yeah.
As long as we have a camera with us to get some good snaps. And so we build them on purpose, but that's what I have to do, is be thinking as we travel. It's like, we got some snaps here for a second, and build this photo book for the.
I struggle with that, dude. I struggle with that.
Yeah.
Like recognizing that, oh man, I should capture this moment so I can hold on to it.
That's why I have Annie.
And
that's so good.
There's a balance there. Like I know, like so often I'm like, oh man, do you have any video from that? No. Do you have any photo from that? No. I'm like, I'm glad you're very present. I think that's great. You don't want to live on the other side where you're just living through your screen all the time. But man, not having like any memories of it is like rough, because sometimes it doesn't come back in the same way. To see it again, you're like, oh yeah, that was amazing.
Yep. Janaea put it to me real, dude. She put it to me real. She, we're looking through some pictures that she just recently had her account hacked, and all of her stuff was hacked into. They did some inappropriate stuff on her account that then got all of those accounts taken down. One of them was her Snapchat, and once you lose access to that,
it's gone.
It's gone.
Yeah.
So 9+ years of pictures
from Snap,
of newborn baby pictures, family pictures, like all the stuff that you can't get back.
Right.
And it's all just gone. Right. And then she looks at me like, hey, can you send me pictures of this, this, and this? And I'm like,
you don't have
I didn't take any pictures of that.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So now it's another big thing is like, okay, whenever heaven forbid anything ever happens to either the boys or my wife, right? Like they'll have pictures of me and the kids, because my wife does such an amazing job of like taking tally of that stuff. Whereas I, on the other hand, there's very limited photos of my wife and kids, and I'm trying so hard. I say I'm trying so hard, but I'm trying to understand and gain a new perspective in that, to where I'm more intentional about taking those pictures, right? Securing those moments in time. That way, like the kids are young, they're going to forget that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Then they can look back on and see it fondly,
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a big deal. I think even our kids, they've had a different experience, right, than most, and like living around the world and being expat kids. So they've been wheels up. I mean, Javen, his country counts like at 50+, you know what I mean? So he's been around the world, but he's not going to remember it until he's a certain age. So the pictures of him in all these crazy places, like, doing the fake holding of Pisa and all these other places, like, you don't really remember unless you see the picture, and then it starts to prompt like, oh, I remember this, or you have some kind of imagery of what that looks like.
Yeah.
So that's kind of cool. And I know people are like, oh, when they remember, it's like, dude, if you wait till they remember, you'll never get on that steps necessarily. So it's cool to kind of, like you guys are doing, like take it right now and have the adventure now at whatever age they are. And then you can have another adventure later. So with the assumption that you will go again, it's not just a one and done, but that you'll go again. If you have that attitude, then it's very likely you will, because you're going to live with that adjustment. You're going to put that in your budget, and you're going to save it aside and all those other things. And then you will go.
Intentionality.
You betcha. You betcha. Hey, today we talk about often here the 7 C's. Those 7 C's are something cultural. We have here Cornerstone: commitment, community, communication, competence, creativity, compassion, and celebration. Today we're talking about creativity. So I have a starting question for you guys. Is graffiti art or vandalism?
Depends on where it is.
Ooh, okay. I like that. I like that. Explain it. Unpack it.
On somebody's public wall, like there's somebody who keeps graffitiing the wall of the apartment complex next to us. That's graffiti.
Right.
That's not the right place. On a train car where I don't have to see it all the time, that's a great place for it. I mean, it's moving around. I mean, that's one of those things. I mean, it's expected that those are going to get beat up and all that. I've got no problem with that. But somebody's permanent, and I don't want to say like public, like the bridges and things.
Yeah.
I don't think that's it. It makes everything look ugly. But then, are you talking tagging versus graffiti?
Yeah.
You know, so that's the other thing too. Is like, what does it look? What does the final thing look like? If you're doing something that's artistic and, you know, that's one thing. But other than that, it reminds me of the SNL skit. Rudy So there was a skit with Rudy Giuliani when he was on there that said that New York had this new campaign to combat graffiti, and so anytime you tag, we're just gonna write "sucks" underneath it.
They're not gonna remove it. They're just gonna put that you suck.
Yeah.
And then it was like 3 stages or something.
Johnny.
Yeah, then it was like second one was like sucks really bad or whatever. And the third one was like they're gonna get a stylistic like a graffiti artist to actually do it in your style, saying how bad you suck.
Which
is really fun.
That's funny. Yeah, I totally agree though. There's so much to unpack in that word art though, right? Like, I was thinking about it whenever you originally asked. The first thing that popped in my head was the same thing you said. Like, where is it?
Yeah.
And I thought, like, you know, my garage door is not a canvas
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
but at the same time, if it was a beautifully executed piece that says like Christ is King, right?
Sure.
Or it has some scripture on there that would speak to the community, like I think that's great.
Yeah.
Right. But then that's where the unpacking comes of like, okay, what is art to you, and where does it hold its value in the delivery of it, right? So like, if you put, you know, some anime on my garage, probably wouldn't mean that much to me, and I'd probably want it removed. And then also like who it means that too, right?
Totally.
So like I could put Christ is King on my garage. What's my neighbor gonna think?
Yeah,
about
your
that?
HOA is gonna come and knock
What's
your
my
door
HOA
for sure.
gonna think about that? That's right.
Sure they are.
You know what I mean? But then there's also implications of like, you know, let's say it is a public area, right? There's, you know, we have this freedom of speech, but that doesn't always include freedom of writing whatever you want on whatever you want.
For sure, yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's super cool whenever people put these like murals and giant beautiful pieces on bridges or sides of businesses, and like that's where you got to get
but it's intentional. Like,
and you have to get consent too, right? Like if you're getting consent from the business owner that like, hey, I want to do this, and they're like, yeah, go ahead, and they give you that freedom of creativity, that's super cool.
Yeah.
But if it's like non-consensual and you just roll up on somebody's building,
then
it's
vandalism.
Yeah, that's vandalism. That's where I'm at too. I mean, I'm a big fan of graffiti art. I think it's really awesome.
Yeah.
Huge fan of it. When I was young, definitely was on the tag side as well. Like, you know, we just piece up and throw stuff up and not thinking really much about it. But
statutes of limitations are up, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yes, I'm the ancient of days. It's like right before they, you know, invented spray cans. No, we're brush.
Roller.
Pretty much. No, obviously spray cans. We were like back when Jenkos first came out, and you could put two spray cans in the back pocket of each pants.
Yeah.
You know, these gigantor jump off the building parachute pants and survive. But we, you know, it's like everybody was piecing everything, and then people got really good artistically with a spray can. And then I started to agree where it's like, you know, just throwing your name up somewhere was crappy. You know what I mean? I wanted to see something nice. Yeah. And these guys started really doing really cool pieces. As a youth pastor, it's tricky because I had a really good artist. He was a part of our youth group. Shout out Ocean. And him and his whole crew of people, they were piecing up a ton of trains that were coming through Phoenix and going to LA, out of LA and into LA. And so they're kind of getting, you know, fame from that. And at the time it was like kind of Facebook, MySpace, all that kind of stuff, kind of at the very beginning of Instagram. And so they were doing all those things, throwing them up everywhere, getting some fame. And so they were part of our group, and I said, hey man, like I'll build you. So I used to build freestanding walls that we did out of ramp faces or something like that, and build them in like big long ones, 40 feet long, and have them piece up the whole thing. And we would change it out for our youth room and like have it all be changed out and do these real big effects. And I'd buy all the paint and have them all piece it up. And a bunch of guys do all paint at the same time. It was awesome. And so you have all this brand new art and stuff, and everybody take pictures and things like that. But, you know, I was like, hey man, stay off the street. Like, don't piece the street. I'll provide you stuff. Like, you know, this, you can take pictures of this. It'll stay up. And, but it couldn't keep them from piecing the street. These guys were rappelling off the top of buildings. And he hit up, they built a new place that you guys know right over here off Avondale Boulevard. When they built that first, hotel, these guys rappelled off the top and hit the whole thing up down the whole front side of it.
The face is the 10.
The whole face,
That's
yeah.
awesome.
So they hit the exactly.
I mean, that's terrible.
See, this is the problem. It's like, which one is it? But it was pretty amazing as far as like, wow, spectacle wise.
Sure.
And they were also coming off and jumping off of the overpasses and going underneath the overpass and hitting up the whole front, which is like, you got to have a ton of guts, because they're like 18-wheelers are blowing right underneath you, and there they are upside down in the middle of the night spray painting some. To do their art, but it looked awesome. I mean, it looked really,
dude, that's gangster,
really rad. But then the cops rolled up heavy once they did someone's private property, and people in spray trucks in Phoenix, they're real serious about it. So they just spray right over it with anti-graffiti paint, and it covers right over it, stuff all the time. So you'll see someone up, and they'll take a picture. It'll be gone before the next day sometimes, because the spray truck comes through early in the morning, just same color brown everywhere. But they had just built that thing. So you want to talk about, if you were the owner of said place, you'd be super pissed, super mad. So I understand where they're coming from. Definitely, it's one of those things where it's like, I love the art of it. But to your point when you first started, where is it at?
Yeah.
What does it look like? So I think it's interesting with creativity, because there's so much in our creative mind that is sometimes destructive. But if it's pointed the right way, it can be a really good thing.
Yeah.
Do you guys consider yourself creative?
I like to think I got a creative bone in my body somewhere.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Sometimes it's hard to dig it out. I like to simplify things a lot of the times, but you know, whenever I start thinking about different projects that I want to do, you know, and how I want it to be different than everything else, you know, that creative bone moseys its way up, and I get to play with some ideas. I don't really get to execute a lot of them, right? Like money, but yeah, I think I have a little bit of creativity in me.
It's cool. Thanks.
I love to be creative.
Yeah.
I'm highly creative in just lots of different areas. We got theater and cooking and just ministry, especially when you're with kids and youth, you have to be creative.
Yeah. Events.
And just all those things, you know. And so I enjoy the challenge of it, because there's a lot of logic that goes into creativity as well.
Right.
Sure, yeah.
You know, and so, you know, I enjoy doing things that people haven't seen or heard. You know, one year for our back to school event, I wanted to fill up a maze with foam, and so I called to see if, because there's no package like that, and so I called the place and I was like, hey, can I get one of those blow up mazes, and I want to put foam in it. They're like, what do you mean? I said, you know, the foam cannons, and I want to fill it with foam so that you can't see as you run through the maze. They're like, well, we'll have to get permission, because we've never done that before.
Totally.
I'm like, well, all I just need to know is that if I'm going to get in trouble or charged if I do it.
Yeah.
Right.
They're like, no, it's fine. I mean, it's soap. And so we did, and it was incredible. We had this, half of the maze was entirely covered in foam, and then we hid buckets all over with stick shooters and stuff. It was an incredible time.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And then we hid some ice water inside that foam so that the students couldn't see where it was, but the leaders knew.
The shocking reality of coming into the foam and then just cold water.
But I really enjoy being creative. I enjoy the idea of showing people or giving something they've never seen before, they've never experienced, because again, it goes back to that experience.
Yeah.
I love to experience something new with other people.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's good.
Very cool. I would say the same. Definitely, especially on the speaking side, creative side, and making things for the weekend. Obviously, these guys know because they're part of our church, our community of faith here, but I'll do like anywhere from 50 to 100 slides, and it changes like every 30 seconds, and do a lot of video backgrounds and all that kind of stuff for even just speaking and doing a normal 30 to 35 minute talk, because it's one of these things where the new generation has grown up on scrolling. So if you're not engaging them and they're staying with you, man, they got a thing in their pocket that'll show them something new every few seconds. So by trying to change up and try and stay in the pocket with them, we're trying to communicate in a way that they'll respond to. And I think that's been something in a way that I can express it creatively, and the way that you build your sermons or the speaking on the weekend or the things that we do. I think each one of those is a creative element. We have a good creative team here, actually, that works really well together.
Yeah.
And we're trying to get to the next level, right? Trying to learn that. How can we step out differently? How can we use what we have and make that be something for the next level, which I think would be cool. So it'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Another question in creativity side. What is something you have created? And I'll say you can't count your children. You can't do that.
That narrows my list.
What's something you've created?
I don't know, man. I've created some skate spots back in the day.
Okay, that's legit.
Yeah, for sure. There's we had talked in the past too about like, finding pools in people's backyards.
Yep.
I had a buddy, I'll just reference to a friend of mine who is one of the most creative and inspirational people when it comes to skating in any place, right? So like he literally go out into the desert, and he was a concrete mason.
Wow.
Building pools and stuff. Well, he built a house. I don't even want to say a house. It was like a 15 by 12 foot square in the middle of the desert that was about 8 feet deep, with 6-inch slabs for the walls and the roof.
Oh, wow.
With like a little keyhole cut out for ventilation, and a door on one side, a quarter pipe on the other.
Oh, wow.
With a big flat. So like whenever they used to come through and put up the SRP or is it SRP lines? The power lines that run all throughout the desert and on the mountains and stuff. They used to have these stations set up every, I forget how many miles, but they would leave once it was done and leave this concrete slab. He found one of those concrete slabs, built right next to it, put a quarter pipe up, and then it went from just the quarter pipe. And mind you, this is like just one of his bigger ones. He's done tons of these, whether it be like behind an EOS in the middle of downtown Phoenix, where he just takes this random concrete slab that's got giant cracks and weeds growing everywhere, totally run down, and he would just start building stuff for kids to be able to come out and skate for free.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Clean the whole area up, patch everything. But this one, he ended up just starting with the quarter pipe, getting a generator out there, like just lived out there. Dude.
Wow.
Had an ice chest and a generator, and he'd fill his ice chest up every day with food and water, all that stuff, beers, the whole nine, and then have like these giant lights, these tripod lights that he'd set out so he could do all this work at night too.
Yep.
It wound up going from just a quarter pipe to like a whole bowl that spanned this entire concrete slab, and I don't even know how to put it into perspective, but it was fat, dude.
That's awesome.
It was fat, and I mean, it had. Dude, he was featured in Thrasher magazine a couple times, which is like a huge skateboard magazine. It's like the staple for skateboarding.
The skateboard.
Yeah,
that
the skateboarding magazine.
Yeah,
100%.
Sure.
And his name was actually BK the Builder.
Nice.
So funny enough, shouts out BK, dog. BK he actually got sponsored by a local shop, and like he had his own board that had like Bob the Builder, but with like desert skate spots set up in the back. Quick story about him. BK got his name. BK stands for Baby Killer.
Oh, no.
Yeah. It sounds like it's about to get heavy, but really what it was is he was skating through a skate park one day, and, like shreds. Dude, shreds. Yeah, some kid decided to just jump in the bowl while he's skating and, like, totally blindsided BK.
Yeah.
And
he wasn't trying to run him down. He just got in the way.
No, no intentionality behind it whatsoever, but just mowed this kid down.
Oh, no.
Didn't kill the kid, right? But like everybody's always like, he just killed that kid. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
So yeah, just stuck BK
crazy.
The Builder.
Wow.
That's a ton of effort, man. We built a skate park here that you could set up and tear down, and I drew it all up. We welded it all up. We set it all up every weekend. So I have a heart for like what he was trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
And he ran it for years like that, which was like, man, it was such a cool thing to have like something come from nothing. And we've seen that a lot. Like even my dad built the facility that we're in, this campus on this church, and just to see stuff come out of nothing is pretty amazing, man. To see things like that, and my family, my uncle's he's done a bunch of stuff as a general contractor and did a bunch of custom homes, and my parents built a bunch of custom homes and did that. Man, to see it where you buy raw land and develop it out of nothing and build something, it's pretty awesome to see that stuff come out of nothing.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Well, in theater, we've built lots of stuff. And so actually when Gavin was first born and we were so busy doing stuff at Independence Theater, at Independence High School, I was really down on myself because I was like, man, I'm doing all this stuff. I'm building all these things for these kids, but then I'm not building a treehouse or a clubhouse for my son at home.
Oh wow!
And so it was this thing, and then I realized, so we had just started coming to the church, so I was just starting to learn how to listen to the Lord. He goes, but you do build 2 different playhouses every year, because we had the stage, and we had not only that, but we had a fly system and all this stuff, and so even though we didn't have a play area in our backyard, we spent so much time at the school that Gavin and our kids, their playground became our sets.
Yeah, it's cool.
So like,
and you're building multi-tier.
And especially when we were at Independence, one of my favorite ones that we did was 3 stories. So we utilized we built a 2-story on the stage, and then we utilized the orchestra pit as the basement.
That's so cool.
It was really cool.
That's so cool.
So it was open because it was for Arsenic and Old Lace. If you don't know the story, you got to check it out. It's a great story.
You're gonna have to send that to me later.
Yeah, it's an old movie.
Okay.
But what was really cool is I had told all the students, I was like, more than just having the actor go down there, we have to turn it into the space. So we turn this basement, which is also doubles as like a graveyard. It's a comedy, I promise.
Okay.
But I told them, I said as soon as intermission goes, after they see these, everybody's going to run up, especially the kids. I said, so we have to do a really good job in the orchestra pit. And so sure enough, as soon as the lights went up, man, all the kids just ran forward. And then rather than running around in they were just, from where they were able to see, they were exploring the basement from up top. And it was just this very cool experience for them.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's dope. I think having something like that where you put your creativity your mind into work, and then you see something come out of your hands is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah.
Either that's in design on a computer or it's physical like that, which I think is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
So much more of what we're doing nowadays happens to be on the digital side of things, where we roll it out and put it on big, LED walls and all that type of stuff. But man, just to do something physical is pretty awesome.
Oh yeah, it's very neat.
Have it come from nothing. In Scripture, one of my favorite bits is the comparison between Genesis 1 and John 1. And it talks about in John 1, 1 through 5, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. He was in the beginning with God, and all things were made through him, and without him not anything made that was made. In him was life, and life was the light of men. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness has not overcome it. I love this piece and this description of who Jesus is from creation, the very beginning of the world, breathing things into existence, and that's the parallel into Genesis and the creation story that's there. And so you see him being called the Word, called the truth, called the light, and how that's who Jesus is for us. So, our creativity stems from our Father who gives us creativity in the image of Christ, and you see that coming through here really well, which I love. So very cool.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another piece of our C's is competence. We've been taking a look at some of these books here. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People is a really good one. It's a classic book, and one of the ones that I suggest that you take a look at if you haven't, and let it apply to your life. I know Gage is taking a look at it right now. One of the ones that's in here is a concept called think win-win. So that's the challenge, is to think win-win. And the concept is, in dealing with other people, not just you win, not just they win, but how can you work a situation where it would be a win for both parties? And for the most part, there is some kind of common ground or something where it would be a win, not a total win, but maybe a win for both of you, in which it's like you might not get everything you want, but you get something and they get something, and it's a coming together, which I really like.
Sure, so, yeah. Just a concept of reasonable compromise.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right. And I think if having that in mind, it's talking about it's like 7 habits of highly effective people. What highly effective people want to get their things done. And they also want to work with others because they realize that working with others is better than working with themselves. Because by yourself, you can do a lot. With others, it's a multiplier. So if you have the same vision, the same heart, you go in the same direction, it makes a big difference. So having that win-win is a great concept. Amazing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, huge deal.
Absolutely. I think that if more people kind of read this chapter and really got it down into them, our country, like legitimately, I think our country would begin to look differently.
It's so true.
Because if everybody looked at every situation and said, look, we're either you're going to lose, I'm going to lose, or we can both get something.
That's right.
You know, I think that would be that's something that I think that should be taught in schools, really, you know, because it has transformative power.
That's right.
Yeah, 100%. I think I was just having this conversation earlier with somebody. I don't want to say anything too irrational or crazy. But basically the point I was trying to make to him was, because he had asked me if I'd voted for a certain person, but like it being in a negative conotoned way, like, like, are you telling me you voted for this person?
Oh, sure.
I was like, look, man, I'll break it down to you like this, right? So like, I don't lean far on either side, right? Because I feel like whenever you get too involved in that way, if you lean too far on that side, a lot of the times what happens is you start becoming irrational. You just want to go with the the agenda, right? Like things start, it's not what they're saying, it's who's saying it.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Sure.
So like, oh, this person said it and I agree with this person.
Yeah.
You know, and I've always looked at it for so long of it, you know, anytime we're picking somebody, it's always come down to picking between the lesser of two evils. That's just kind of how I've always seen it. Not to say that I don't agree with one side more than the other, but I'm never going to be all the way on I don't think anybody has all the answers, right? And the thing that, you know, I'm so thankful that in these last few years, I've been able to like make that paradigm shift in my life where like, I know who's in control of everything, right? So like, I don't put my faith and trust into these people in any way, shape, or form. I make educated decisions that, you know, correlate with my values, right? And I try to find the people that are more aligned in that regard. And there has been a consistency to an extent of the people and their label as to, you know, who they are that kind of match up with that. But it's never always 100%.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? You're never going to hit it like right on the head. But at the same time, I feel like there's such an inability to come together and find a common ground that we can then build off of in a productive and efficient way. And I think that concept of win-win is something that it's like, no, I'm right, you're wrong.
Yeah, politically in this country, it's impossible. Almost.
Yeah, I'm gonna win.
Yeah,
and I think that's the world. I think to limit it to just our country is a little too narrow-sighted, right? That we are all God's children, right? And Christ came and died on the cross for all of us, right? And seeks all of us to be his children and to know us on a personal level. And in that, you know, we look at so often, right? We look at what's going on either in our neighborhood or in our home, right? In our community, and not like Christ called us to go everywhere, right? He called us to go all the way across the world to tell these people. And it also tells us in scripture to stay like-minded. You know what I'm saying? And in that we have to, there has to be the conversations. There has to be those paradigm shifts around the world to where, you know, it's like, yes, I feel this way. And yes, you feel this way. But where's that middle ground? Like where does it come to a point where like we can agree on something in this regard? And I think it's so difficult for so many people to just have the conversation and be comfortable and vulnerable enough for there to be the option of them being not right 100%.
Man, I've been politically independent for a long, long time. So since I was early, like 20 years old, that was kind of where I was at. My grandparents came from blue collar out of the South, so they were Democrat. My parents, they were Democrats, became Republican, and so he had perspectives on that. And really where I came to it is I was voting my faith. So I was going to vote for life. I was going to vote for biblical marriage. I'm going to vote for these other things, and they're important to me. Living abroad was really eye-opening to me because they started having where it's not just two parties. It's going to be mainly 2 or 3 that are in control, but there's 5 or 6. There's a gamut, and they do go far left. They do go far right, and they go these wacky places that are really crazy. They get fascist on this end. They get super like hyper, you know, communist on one other end. And it was really weird because we were living in Greater Paris, and every neighborhood has its own like mayor of that area. Even though there's kind of a greater structure that kind of looks over the Ile-de-France, like the section that's over Greater Paris, every place has its own. So like right beside us where we were at, like we're trying to buy a building. Well, the mayor of that town is like Communist Party. So he's like banning anything that has to do with a religion and all this stuff, even though you're and you're supposed to be in like a democratic place and all these other things. It's like, but their little agenda ran over what we were doing and it blocked the way. And so that's true of almost everywhere we've been. And that's just a little small part there. Even as things shifted from one to the other, it meant it didn't, we had to be the church. So we're going to be for the church and for the things of the church and for what the things the Bible says. And that didn't line up necessarily in one party or not there. Same thing in the UK, same thing in other places where it's like, hey, we are praying for the leader that's in power. We're praying for these people that are in control. So I pray for that mayor of that place, even though he was anti-us, I pray for him. And I was praying for the president of France and for the mayor of this area and such and such.
I love that.
Because, man, what a thing for that's what we're called to do. And two, it's a way for us to keep that thing going. I'm not against anybody's hardened to paint on one side or the other, but I'm very much for biblical values, very much going to vote those things. But I don't believe that they are the salvation, like you said, either way either, as far as a political person. Yeah. Lived in the Middle East, and we were praying for people that, they ran unopposed. We'll say it like that. Sure, and so, you know what I mean? Some people want to put it with the dictator. They want to say this or that or the other thing. There were elections. There just wasn't anybody running against anybody. And so it was one of these things as, you're like, hey, I'm still going to pray for this leader. I'm still going to pray for these people and pray that they have wisdom, pray that they lead their people with godly wisdom, that he reveals himself to them and that they have this real encounter with him. Amen. That's my prayer for.
And I think that's coming either way. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Every knee will bow, every tongue shall confess.
Of course.
And I'm sorry. I'm looking over here. I'm trying to find the scripture that I was just reading through earlier. I think it's in Ezekiel, potentially 3. Yeah, absolutely. And it touches to that, whenever I was saying, we're called to go and reach, right? Like Matthew 28:19, where it calls to go out and make disciples of the world. But we're also called to tell people when they're wrong. You know what I'm saying? But not, it's just like whenever Christ sent his followers out and he said, like, if they don't listen though, dust off your feet and go on to the next spot. Sure. Right. And it kind of says it similar in Ezekiel. This is Ezekiel 18 through 21. A little long-winded, but when I say to a wicked person, you will surely die, and you do not warn them or speak out to dissuade them from their evil ways in order to save their life, that wicked person will die for their sin, and I will hold you accountable for their blood. But if you do warn the wicked person, and they do not turn from their wickedness or from their evil ways, they will die for their sin, but you will have saved yourself. And it goes on and on to that extent, but I mean, that's kind of where, like we can have these conversations and be okay with finding a middle ground, right? Because like we've talked to them, we've told them, hey, this is what it is, right? Like this is who Christ calls us to be, or like in this circumstance, this is what falls in line with the moral values that we've established through Scripture, right? But it doesn't have to be to a point where like, look, you're going to do what I say because this is what's right. But we can then have a point of understanding, like this is where I'm at, this is where you are, and we've covered ourselves. You know what I mean? As we've been sanctified in the blood, like we can also extend that to other people, saying, hey, this isn't right. Like we should probably change something. But right, like if they say no, we can wipe the dust from off of our feet and go on to the next place.
Yeah, still prayer for the seed that's in place, but
right? Yeah, 100%.
You don't have to sit there and beat the drum.
Exactly, and we're counted as saved because of it. You know what I mean? Whereas if we don't, then it says that we're accountable for their blood as well.
It's interesting because even as you take that from Old Testament context into New Testament, it talks about and gives the example of the Good Samaritan and things like that. Samaritan at the time they were anti the Samaritans. The Samaritans were going and worshiping another way, is seen as heresy and all these other things. So a Jew to even talk about a Samaritan in a positive way, like the way Jesus does, is seen as negative. And so he's talking about how the Samaritan did what was right whenever the other people that were religious leaders didn't. Now, they didn't make themselves, ceremonially unclean. There's all these reasons and motivations why. Sure. But the real thing was they didn't look out for their neighbor. And so that was really what Jesus is driving home. I think it's hard. There's definitely two camps on this in Christendom and definitely in the American church. I have friends of mine, and I'm with them in heart in some things. Some things the way they say it, I'm not on the way they say it, but what they're saying, they're standing for what's right in faith. So they're standing for marriage, they're standing for life, they're standing for these things. And so for them, they're pushing that as a political agenda in a specific party, which I understand why they're doing that, because the other side is so anti those things. Yeah. So they have to be like, hey, this is where my alliance is. And I'm with that. That's the way I vote. I vote my heart. I vote my faith. But I don't necessarily fly their flag for all their agendas either, because I feel like there's some coming together in the middle to be able to figure this out. So that's when we kind of come into these concepts. It's like, how can you go for a win-win? Most of the people won't reach across the aisle politically in America because that's seen as being weak towards their party, and they're getting further apart, not closer together in the middle. Yeah. Whereas most people want to live at peace with their neighbor. They want to like these kind of things. We can disagree, but have a good discourse without it elevating to the next place of complete disarray and things like that.
Yeah.
There's an incredible documentary kind of on this subject. It's called The Social Dilemma, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
and it talks about what the world looked like before Google and a lot of the social media and stuff. And because of algorithms and stuff, and I don't fault them for being businesses and doing what they do, right. But just by nature of their very business, what it's done is because you want your information, and so it's going to feed you specific information. It'll feed me different. So we could do that. All three of us could do the same Google search, and based on our algorithm, we're going to get different results, right?
Yeah.
And so because of that, over time, it's just moved us all into our own echo chambers where we're only hearing the stuff we want to hear. And then we don't necessarily, we think of the other people as aliens or just as whatever the perception is. And with that, if you look at it through the lens of, well, what do we do as believers? The reality is you think, well, somebody will tell them, or I mean, surely they're on the internet. They're going to hear about Jesus somehow.
Right.
But
that's not necessarily true.
That's
not always the case.
That's
and,
right.
and that's, I mean, it may have been at the beginning of the internet, and it may have been at one point, but now because of the way the algorithms are, you can very easily stay isolated from Christ and what it is. And so that's why it's so important for us to recognize that those people, they're while they may be on the complete opposite end of a political spectrum or ideological spectrum, it doesn't matter as long, they will always be there unless somebody else, because their algorithm's not going to change them.
Yeah, that's right.
So unless we're willing to step out and have civil discourse and be willing to, in a loving way, say, hey, you know what, I don't agree with that. And I find asking questions and those kinds of things. But that's an incredible documentary that it was so eye-opening as to why there's so much discord in America.
And the example they gave of the guy getting radicalized by his feed and all that stuff was really interesting. And we see that happening in our own country. We don't want to go off into that too much because we're trying to keep more of a positive view here with what we're talking about today.
Right.
We lost someone who's definitely a brother in Christ, and it was a political pundit in Charlie Kirk, and he was assassinated. And it took the wind out of my sails. Like from the time I found out, I was just praying for his family, praying for him at first before we heard the news that he passed, and then praying for his family. And man, just it really, I got more emotional on it. Not that I think Charlie's 100% on everything he says, but I loved his mind. I love how sharp he was. I love his commitment to Jesus, 100% with him on all those things. And the vast majority of what he's about, I was like, I'm with you in this kind of perspective and fighting, entitlement and all these other ideas in the young culture, very much for that. But at the same time, man, it hurt my heart to see this action taken against him where he's trying to have a discourse. He set it up the correct way and all these other things. Someone tries to take his life. But it reminded me of all the times in Egypt where we had Christians gunned down. We had bombings that happened at nearby churches, and Christians were died, and people were beheaded on the beach. And there's all these things that happened there. People in my church in Nigeria, there was like hundreds and even thousands of people that were killed for their faith. And in all the while, it's an us versus them. And that's what's been preached on the other side of Islam towards Christians and even Christendom towards them. And so as we have this dialogue, it makes it really hard to be missional to love somebody with the love of Christ, because part of us, and that's my natural nature, is like, let's sort these people out, man. Let's go and let's gun up and go. And that's not where Christ calls us to be. He calls us to turn the other cheek and to be the love of Christ. It's hard because we stand for faith, and you can definitely talk to faith and with strength. At the same time, we have to be those willing to lay down our lives, live dead, so to speak, and be open to what God wants to do. And it's a challenge because, man, what a hard thing. We see the unrest that's happening. Like, we were just in Nepal, and we're seeing today on the news, Nepal's in flames. Yeah. And I'm thinking about it. I was like, man, we're just there praying with beautiful people, spending life with them around meals and humble meals, but man, such good people. Yeah. And praying for people and in the community. And now we see their place in just absolute chaos and flames. And it's like, man, just my heart goes out, I've been praying to that regard as well. And so many other places as well, continually pray for places like like Jerusalem, pray for Israel, praying for Palestine, praying for Syria, praying for Yemen, praying for, the list goes on, Libya and so on, because these are people that are living a nightmare, and they're living a nightmare. And it's like, man, Lord, be with them, draw them near to you.
Yeah.
And help them. Because that, for us, that's the ultimate one, is that he's my king and he's coming back. And that's my real hope.
That's it.
And I'm going to vote for and pray for every leader. I'm going to vote for anyone opportunity for. That's the freedom we have in our country. I'm very thankful for it.
100.
It's a great price that people have given with their lives for that opportunity. So we take full advantage.
That's right.
At the same time, my hope is not in whoever the 47th president, the 48th president, and so on is of America, or any leader around the world. But my hope is in Jesus Christ.
Yeah, 100%. And it's not to say not to be educated on the part that you play in making that decision of who comes into office, or who speaks for your community and, the delegations. But 100%, man. And it's such a funky time right now, especially after Charlie Kirk, right? It definitely blindsided a lot of people, because it's something that he did all the time.
Yeah.
He traveled all over the country doing the same exact thing.
Right.
And, a lot of people disagreed with it. A lot of people were, embarrassed after having conversations with him.
Yeah.
But
he'd pick their prejudice apart.
Right.
The things they were saying, they were thinking he's prejudiced, or he's the one that's bombastic, and actually he's picking apart their whole argument. It's like, actually you are coming from this other direction.
Sure. Right. Yeah. And I think he was super, like you said, he was super sharp, super on the ball.
Yeah. And definitely a believer in Jesus.
Yeah.
And hard in the paint on that.
That's right. And openly proclaiming his faith.
Amen.
And what a beautiful thing to watch, right? And such a sad thing. Our hearts and prayers are with the family, with his wife, with his 2 beautiful children.
That's right.
My family's going through, my wife, her side of the family is going through a loss right now as well, so I've been digging into scripture a lot, just praying that the Lord would be with the family.
Amen.
And as well as, in these times, we have to know and trust that the Lord has a plan and a purpose, right? Mm-hmm. He has a hope and a future for us, to prosper us and not to hurt us. Mm-hmm. And it's such a beautiful thing. I was talking with my wife's mom the other day, and she said, this circumstance that happened in their life is a seed that has fallen to the ground. Mm-hmm. And we trust and believe and proclaim that in the name of Jesus, that fruit will bear from this fallen seed, right? And I think we were just having a conversation earlier with somebody in your office about how her friend, who was not at all behind what Charlie Kirk had talked about, was also heartbroken in the manner that it took place. So we're joining together in prayer that this circumstance would bear fruit and lead people towards Christ, right? And that his message of Christ and salvation would be replayed to those who hadn't heard it previous to this.
Good. That's right. Amen to that.
Yeah, that's how I've been praying today as well. Just that
Amen.
That the Lord would use it for his purposes, and not destructive purposes, and the enemy's what the enemy would have done with it. And I've like you guys have been praying for his wife and kids, but the other thing that has just been so heavy on my heart is praying for our country, because because the atmosphere that facilitated that created this event, this is a symptom of a larger issue.
That's right.
Yeah.
And those are the things that have to be addressed. But the only way it's going to be addressed is through conversation. I mean, it's not going to be by saber rattling and chest pounding and all this and us versus them. And so that's the other part of my prayer for the country, is that that people would see this is ridiculous. Somebody lost his life because you disagree about. Because you're disagreeing about something, and not to minimize the issues,
right?
Because the issues are big. However, there's a civil way to do it. I mean, people have been doing it all the way up to this point.
Yeah, I think he was executing that civil way.
I definitely agree.
Yeah. And for it to go down like that, it's so sad. And so I've been just sorrowful for the country, because you never know what people are going to do. This could be an inciting incident, and I pray that that's not the case. I pray that this be the thing that really starts to wake people up and go, wait, whoa.
Yeah,
we're way past the line. Let's go back a little bit. Let's take a few steps back.
To have the very impact that he was living for, to have that happen on a greater scale.
Yeah.
And that's my prayer as well.
That's a good word, man.
That it would be that same that same thing. Amen.
Yeah.
That's a good point. The other side of what we're talking about with competence is John Maxwell's 21 Irrefutable Laws of Leadership. The one I wanted to bring about today, talk about for just a second, is the law of navigation. It says the law of navigation is that any leader, any person can steer a ship, but it takes a real leader to chart the course.
That's good.
So I think it's interesting as we talk about and plan so often here, and it goes back to what we learned about before, start with the end in mind. And so if you're doing that kind of thing, then you're definitely going to need to chart a course to get there. And I think having those milestones along the way, smart goals that you can activate and actually see realized and things like that, man, what a difference. Because then you start doing that. You've been talking about wanting to buy a house. You never do it unless you actually start those processes and actually build a habit that does the actual course that you're trying to put in. So I think that's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think part of that also has to do with, a lot of people look for this cookie cutter mentality of like step by step how to get what they want.
Right.
Whereas so many people live such diversified lives, where I can't say nothing, but for the vast majority, no two are the same in how their lives are structured or the exact end result, the goal that they're looking for. So, a lot of these cookie cutter maps, right, to success or whatever you view as your end goal can't necessarily be reached in that process, but rather you have to, like you said, chart your own course in that, right? Which is it's still so essential to take a lot of these points and apply them to what you're doing, right? To use them as a potential perspective to view certain situations as, but still at the same time you're looking to your goal and using your value system, right? And the things that you care for, like, you know what I mean? Because like for me, right, it's family, you know what I mean? It's serving the Lord and serving my family. And in that, right, like that, those are the two fundamental things that establish my steps.
Right.
Right. So like everything that I do is to serve those two.
Right. So you're headed in that course. Exactly.
Right. And sometimes as I'm navigating that, there are certain things that come up where the world may say this is the right thing to do, but it doesn't line up with my values or what I hold important to me.
Right.
So I have to chart my own course in that, right? And trust that the Lord will be the lamp unto my feet and to guide me in the right direction, right? And that's where we as Christ followers will get down on our knees and pray for discernment, right? Pray that the Lord would guide us and give us strength in those processes. Because a lot of the times, and I know we talk about this as a community, but a lot of these decisions that we make to get to where we want to go or to accomplish the things that the Lord has set out for us, they're not easy, right? And it requires a lot of endurance. It requires a lot of strength, a lot of courage sometimes. And in doing so, we have to be so dependent on the Lord's strength, right? On the Lord's courage, on the Lord's sustenance for us to feed us into this separate area of our life, to go against the grain, right? You got
culturally.
Yep, exactly. And I think it's in so many places. But yeah, that's how I see that for sure.
Angus, you were talking about like the kind of the seasons by which you guys live your life and the map kind of that you guys set out in front of you. What's been those highlight pieces that you said, okay, this is some things that we need to chart on our map here?
For us, it's, we want to be sure to, that we get there still as a strong family. And so it's really important. I mean, there's so many different events and different things that happen here at Cornerstone that we're working towards, and my family helps with that. But also, we have an end goal of a production that people come to, and this is in the theater. That people come to and they go away going, how did they do that in the space that they have? And so trying to get to that place is always a challenge. It takes a lot of planning. Sometimes it takes a lot of happy accidents and creative differences and all those things along the way. But it's very cool to be able to, like you said, a few times a year we see a blank stage, and then there's a world on it that happens. And that's a very cool marker for us that getting all of these students and the more they get experienced with it, we can show them how beneficial it is. And as they all work together, it's so gratifying to see all of these students of varying levels come together, and they bring forth a product together that everybody goes, wow.
That's cool.
And then to be able to tell their parents, we just were the guardrails. They did it.
Yeah.
And that's what's really cool about that kind of a thing. And showing them that they can be as big a part of it as they want to.
Yeah. So part of charting your course is helping
exactly.
others learn how to chart theirs.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Huge.
And that's been very cool.
I love it. Hey, a couple things to wrap up today. So I've got some more rapid fire questions for us. We're going to have some people coming on with us here shortly, just some different guests and things like that. But we figure we give some groundwork with us and just kind of talk through some of these things today. So I'll skip some of these, but I'll jump into them, just kind of some of those deals. So rapid fire questions, I'll go with Angus first, and then we'll kind of go around on each question instead of just hit you with them all in a row. What's the first thing you do when you start your day?
Wake up the kids. So, so when the alarm goes off, I have to go and start waking them up. So
that's your cycle.
Yep.
That's good. Yeah. Gage, how about you?
Buddy of ours led a meeting, a group meeting one time, and had emphasized how important it is to wake up first and pray right out the gate, right? Spend your time with the Lord. Outside of that, man, I think about how bad I don't want to be waking up at 2:00 in the morning to go to work.
Rough,
but
dude.
I go get changed, get my boots on. I'm out the door usually within like 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's 10 minutes out the door is wild.
Yeah, if I sit around too long, man, I ain't leaving.
You get to drift right back into the comfortable bed.
Oh yeah. Once the motor's running, dude, I got to keep it. I got all gas, no brakes.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. I think that's really good, man. Yeah, okay, for me, I would say the same. I get up and start like a prayer. I don't get into like my prayer time till like prayer time until a little bit later, but I think I do that, kind of, jump on, get a phone going, and then get into the restroom, kind of getting ready for the day. So you just start, I have a podcast running, I have something running, and I'm kind of like doing things as I go. But yeah, I have a later start than the rest of my family because I go to bed so stinking late, which I'm thankful I have a little bit of grace there. But if I'm an early morning thing, it's I still start that process. I just back up my time, so if I'm doing something super early, I do the exact same thing, just get there and then have a little bit more time. So I get my time in get my time in the Word and some other things too, which is really good. So,
Amen.
And that's the same thing with me because they get off and go to school because Annie has to be there early as a teacher. So like get them, so I make their lunches and stuff while they're getting ready, and
so cool.
And then once they're
what
gone,
a blessing, dude.
I've got that time. So
what a blessing, man.
Good.
Yeah, it's definitely a different schedule than what I kept when I was in like corporate sales, or even as I lived abroad in other places. It was different, depending on the thing. But something that drove home with us, especially in our time in Cairo, it was something that we did habitually also in our time in France, but was really time in Cairo than time in Alex was that abiding with God time. So having some time that's really abiding with Him and trying to lock in. And so some of the things that we've built is just even a habit of like, as I pull out, I do the Lord's Prayer and pray over my family every day. And, when I was driving them or dropping them or whatever, it's like we'd always pray those prayers over them and sent them out in that way. So we're kind of starting on the right foot and just try to get that way, be intentional. So.
That's so good, man. Yeah, I wish I could send my kids off.
Well, once Annie and the kids are in the car, we do the same thing. I give them a call and we pray together.
That's cool.
We put on the armor of God every day. That's
cool.
The one thing that we always do. And then we pray that the fruits of the Spirit would be exhibited in our lives, and so we list those out. And recently, Tessa started this the other day, which I chose the wrong one yesterday, but she said we should all pick a fruit of the Spirit that we're going to really work on today. And as I was going to Costco,
you didn't do patience,
I said
did
patience.
You? Oh man,
I said patience on the day that I knew I was going to Costco, and I was like, I was feeling it yesterday. I was like, I wasn't feeling it so much by the end of the day, I'll tell you.
Lord gave you opportunities to be patient, did
That's
He?
right.
Oh, so many.
So many.
Patience
is a great thing to pray
before I even got in the store.
It is a tough one, though.
Yep.
Yeah, anytime you get into patience, long suffering, this is dangerous, man. You'll definitely have an opportunity to learn it. 100%.
And I know better.
Lord be praised.
That's right, the Lord be praised. Amen.
That's right.
All right, we talked a little bit about a skill you could learn. How about one skill you could master instantly?
What you got? I'm in the same boat. What about you, Jay?
I'll jump off. I would love to speak every language.
Ooh.
I'd love to just be able to be someone who is a polyglot, could definitely just speak it all and just boom, boom, boom.
Like a language savant.
Yeah. Like where just instantaneously, like you see in the Matrix where they download and he suddenly knows Kung Fu. It's like, I know Kung Fu. It's like, no, I know, I know Chinese or whatever it is, like be able to speak Mandarin and, Cantonese or whatever it is in any setting, like just any person. That'd be amazing.
Wow. Is there one language that you would pick, like if you had to pick one that could just be downloaded? Do you think you have one?
I think because of my time with it, I would love to speak like Fusha Arabic fluent. Or I've been to like I haven't been to mainland China, so I've been to Macau, I've been to Hong Kong and places like that, but I haven't been to like just right across to Shenzhen. I haven't been across yet, and so that's one of the things I think, because so many people speak Chinese, that would be a benefit, and also Arabic because of just my travels and future travels into that part of the world. It'd be amazing to, though I know some rudimentary stuff in EMEA, like to really be fully conversational, not just beyond like just buying and selling and normal like little stuff that we did as we lived in there. But I mean like full blown deep conversational would be amazing.
That's a great one. That's great.
I'd like to just be able to look at something and be able to fabricate it. Break down, reverse engineer, I guess.
Yeah.
Reverse engier and rebuild.
So a Lego master builder.
Yeah,
you see all the pieces and they float in the sky.
Yeah,
you put them
exactly.
together.
Just like that. Yeah. That would be, because I mean I've got such a vivid imagination anyway. It'd be very cool to be able to take so much of what's up in here and bring it out.
That's cool. I like that.
Yeah, for sure.
What do you think?
I still don't know. What's one skill set I wish I could learn instantaneously? I might as well just go with patience. You know what I'm saying?
That's not a bad one, actually.
Yeah, if that was one I could learn.
If we were more spiritual, we all would have said fruit of the spirit instead of speak languages or building cool stuff. And
hey, no, it's all so valid, right?
I don't know if I was a better pastor, I would have said that answer. I'm sorry.
Chill out, dog. Chill out.
It's like, what would you like to know? The love of God.
Yeah, I got 3 boys in the house. One's not talking yet. I'm not even gonna say thankfully. You know what I mean? I thought it, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah. We're eating up this time too, bro, while he's so young. It's such a beautiful thing watching him develop and grow little by little, but it feels like he's growing like a weed. But yeah, the 2 in the house, like I'll give you a quick little story as to why. And maybe I could even switch it from patience to guidance. I wish I was better at guiding. But we were in a barbershop. Boys were kind of bouncing around continuously. I told them a couple times, didn't listen. So I had to ask the barber to take the cape off me. And I went outside, gave him the rod and the staff, came back inside. They sat down nice and polite. And, the barbershop dude was like, all my years here, I've never seen anybody do that.
Correct their kids and like,
I was like, look, man,
talk to them. And
and nobody's that. They are not going to be doing anything they want, wherever they want, however they want. Right?
Right.
There are rules and guidelines and structure, and they will have respect, both for me and your place of business.
Yeah.
But I'm not always that short to give a couple warnings. Sometimes I'm popping off at the jaws really quick, and it's something that I'm praying that the Lord continues to work in me.
Yeah.
Usually not through the words of "Lord, give me patience."
Sure, absolutely.
You know what I'm saying?
Totally.
But that's definitely one of them. Long day at work, working 12 hours in the heat, come home, and it's, toys flying across the house and kids screaming at each other. I'm not always the first to bring the tone down as much as I am to match it.
Right.
Which is something I'm definitely trying to work on.
Yeah, totally get that. All right. What is your go-to comfort food? That's a dangerous one.
So much.
I'll go with menudo.
Yeah?
Menudo.
I might say Mexican. I think probably the thing I would say the most, which is hilarious, but it's the thing that like I have to cut out of my diet the most, is bread. Like chips, carbs, yeah. Like, bread, chips, things like that. It's like, dude, there's something to it. Like in the nighttime, my body will cry out, man. And be like, I'd be walking past
Give
you.
me 1 grain of rice.
It's like, I'm like, oh no. And it's really the sugar, obviously, it turns into, but it's like, man, when those fights that as you get older, it's like when you're young, you got metabolism, you can eat whatever. You could be a trash can, but as you get older, you gotta watch that a bit more. So,
man, I don't know. That's a really hard one for me. I love food. I love
so
100
many
different types of food. But I think Mexican's a good one.
Yeah.
I'd be comfortable saying that.
Yeah.
I also really like soups,
Sure. Yeah, that was the other one.
Just,
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
anything with a really good sauce.
Yeah.
I love sauces.
Dude, it was such a
I
hard
think
toss-up.
chips and salsa is such like a win. And
Yeah.
I think that's why I would say that, like more of like a chip or a bread, kind of a salsa. Mexican food, man. It's like, it's so good. Praise God.
Dude, that my toss-up was like, all right, menudo or grilled cheese and tomato soup.
Oh, yeah.
Like
both soup. Yeah, soup style. Yeah, totally.
And then like even the third one is French onion
Oh,
soup.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
all those like hearty, comfy, like warm Like something you would eat on a brisk fall morning.
That's hilarious because we live and it's like hot here all the time.
All the time.
Yeah.
There's a few good soup eating weeks.
Well, it's funny. Like I learned from being in France. It's like obviously they eat French onion soup in the winter, but people would eat it anytime they get there. So people are ordering French onion soup in the middle of summer, which is not a French thing at all. They're very seasonal, like very very seasonal. So they're always like, let me go. You know, because how terrible. We all want whatever we want whenever we want. It's very American. But, around the world, it's
like hot coffee on a golf course in summer, Jay.
Dude, I'll crush it, bro.
That's crazy.
Bring it, dog.
That's crazy, dog.
Bring it. I'll have a big old, Yeti full of ice and water, whatever else is too. But, yeah, I'll still crush a hot coffee.
I was talking with my mom about that today.
That's so funny. That's a very Arizona thing. I think Texas, a couple of our spots, we're lunatics. What can you do? If you could live in any fictional world, where would it be? That's interesting. You got books, you got movies, got all sorts of stuff. It's also interesting because some of my favorite movies, I'm like, I don't know if I really want to live in that world.
100%.
Like Lord of the Rings or something. You're like, I'm not sure. I don't want to be hunted down by crazy orcs or something. Or Avatar. Yeah, it's like all the things come eat you.
Yeah.
Big blue monster people.
Yeah. How many episodes do you think they could make of 1,000 Ways to Die in the Avatar world?
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Exactly. What do you guys think? Is there a world that because
there's so many.
It gets like really popular, right? Like so, there's the reason that they build all these worlds at Disneyland and at Universal. It's like they're in Harry Potter world or they're in Mario Land or whatever.
I think Atlantis, right? Like the old DreamWorks Atlantis. I think that'd be an awesome place to live.
That'd be interesting, yeah.
Yeah.
I'd second that one. That one's good, but I also think the world of the Matrix is very cool as long as you're one of the
guys that's winning and
unplugged,
not getting hosed.
Yeah,
right. That's true. That would be pretty cool, actually. I know all the cool ones. I'm like, it'd be cool to be like in John Wick's role. No, you wouldn't. Everyone dies. Like it's not cool. Actually,
are you John Wick?
Yeah,
you still die.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm sorry for that was a spoiler for anybody.
Sorry. Yeah, sorry. It's our movie number 5. You should know by now. But yeah, 100. Yeah, same thing. I was like, Jurassic Park and dinosaurs. It's like, well, you're gonna get eaten.
Yeah.
It's like maybe I should pick something that's where more beneficial. It's like I want to go to Candy Crush World or whatever. It's like or whatever the one is from Wreck-It Ralph, where the kids are running. It's all Candy World or whatever, racing.
That's funny.
Like, that's not a bad shout, but
the Island of Lost Boys. What is that
Toys?
from? No,
that's the other one. You're talking about from
Pinocchio?
Yeah, where they're like all like
yeah,
beers and cigars or whatever.
Yeah, beers and cigars
turning
on
into
Ferris wheels.
Donkeys. It's always a catch. Always pay the piper.
Always. There you go.
It's interesting for people to think about. A couple more, and we'll jump. Morning person or night owl? Like normally.
I think I'd prefer to be a night owl. Normally, I have to be
morning.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm still sometimes fairly grumpy at work, depending. You know what I'm saying? But like, if I don't have to wake up early the next day, dude, I'm cruising at night.
For sure.
Oh, I'm cruising up to the wee hours of the morning. If I ain't got to be up the next couple of days early in the morning, like right now, like I don't have to go to work tomorrow morning.
Right.
So like,
because your plans are to fly out to be with family.
Yeah. Yep. So I could very well be up till like 2:00 in the morning, just kicking it, bro. Either reading, trying to tap into 7 Habits.
Yep.
Or watching crazy YouTube videos with my dad because he's like that funny cat video. You know what I mean? Yeah. He'll type in funny cat video and sit there and just.
Totally. I love your dad, man.
I love it. Love it, dude.
It's awesome. What do you think, man?
I'm a night owl by choice. I'm a morning person by fatherhood.
Oh, yeah, sure.
By obligation.
Yeah, by obligation.
And I've had the same, like, lots and lots of jobs or just things. I end up just having short nights because I stay up late. I still got to get up. You know what I mean? It's just how it works. So, yeah, I think if I just had open-ended schedule, I would sleep in the morning and I would stay up super late. So I think, in the Middle Eastern culture where they do a lot more of that, even Latin culture where they're up late and doing. I'm in the gym. They're like, "Hey, come take a nap in the afternoon." I'm like, "Dude, if I could take a nap, that'd be fire."
I'd be a gold medalist if it was an Olympic sport.
Say,
I wish that was the deal, but not necessarily. What's the best concert or event you've ever attended? What do you think? Lots and lots of people that you guys have probably been a part of.
Not really, dude.
No, really?
I didn't do tons of concerts. I did like a couple little like EDC festivals.
Yeah.
And then realized like aside from the drugs, I didn't really care about them.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then I did like a Puddle of Mud, Chris Daughtry, did like a Nickelback way back in the day. Yeah, I get it. All right, whatever. Chill out. I can already
Hey man,
hear
they're
'em.
like
I can already hear 'em.
multi
And then I
platinum.
did like Rush and Live.
Wow.
Yeah, that one was pretty cool.
Wow.
I think that one's probably one of the cooler ones I did.
That's
It
interesting.
was just interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. We think, man.
So I also didn't get to go to concerts a whole lot as a kid, and then I didn't have money to do concerts. But two of them that really stand out is I went to OAR with my wife, with Annie. That was a really good one. And then I recently took Gavin to see AJR.
Okay.
And that was a really good show too.
Cool. Very
So-
cool. Yeah, it's really hard. I was like I was a straight up scene rock and roller kid, man. So I went to tons and tons and tons of shows, tons of rock shows, small venues, big venues, you name it. We've been to it. I've been to tons of EDM stuff, underground raves, like in warehouse districts in
Wow.
LA, like all that kind of big stuff too. Really big shows, like whenever EDC was like first done before they moved to Vegas and was still in LA, and like all those kind of things. So saw big people spin and all that kind of stuff too, which was pretty cool. I was friends, with some people that were in bands, and so got to be backstage at a lot of cool spots. My friend, he was a touring manager for some bands, so even as they would come through, we lived in Europe, he would have me come, and so we got, even then, whenever I didn't have money, he still got, an opportunity.
Smooth.
It's pretty fun. I think it's interesting because obviously I grew up as a pastor's kid, and so a lot of like Christian style concerts and things like that. It's like, people playing like worship style music, and I still think that probably one of the best ones I've ever been to, because of the spirit of it, was actually not the show, because the show is not nearly the competitive, but the spirit of it was probably like more of a worship set, maybe like Hillsong United or something, where it was like
that's so
the real
cool.
heart behind it was really powerful and really demonstrative, amazing. Show wise, man, some amazing metal shows where people are like blowing fire and jumping over people.
Are you talking about Rammstein?
It's just great. No, but it's similar, you know what I mean? Like just
Yeah.
wild stuff, and so you're like, man, you experience this whole other thing. So it's funny because we do a bit of production for church services, and it's more just as a tool to draw people close and draw them in from the life they're living and get to the message, which is the words and other things like that. But using like lights or smoke or whatever it is, or haze, whatever, it's like it's nothing compared to what I've experienced. So I'm like thinking it's super super tame, and other people are like, oh, this is crazy. I'm like, no, it's not.
No, it's not.
We've barely had this thing turned up, man. Like we're not even cracking 90 on the decimals. Like this is not it.
It made me think too. I just remembered when I went to that Nickelback concert. It was it was super cool because a guitarist for a band called Damage Plan had recently died. His name was Dimebag Darrell.
Oh yeah, sure.
And they did a tribute to Dimebag Darrell at that concert where they had unreleased songs that Dimebag Darrell had written and all the notes for like the guitar licks. And so they played one of his songs at the funeral, or at the
memorial
at the show, as like a memorial piece to him. Which was super cool. And then I remember too, I went to another one that was like Asking Alexandria, Pierce the Veil, like super like
that's how those guys is
grungy, or not even grungy, but like what would you classify that as?
That's more like metal-esque, like, you know what I mean, like that adjacent, whatever.
Yeah, so I remember while I was there, some dude came from out of this pit, and like he's like, "Oh, dude, I think I broke my ribs." I was like, "Here, dude, let me look." And I was like, "Yeah, dude, you definitely cracked. You definitely broke like two of your ribs."
Purple.
He's like, "Babe, throw me a beer." Smashes it and then runs right back into the pit. I was like, "That's what's up."
He's trying to get his lungs completely.
I want to grow up to be just like you.
Oh no, man.
Yeah.
I always friends like going out here too. Like even though it really wasn't my jam, like they were big Country Thunder fans and all that. So it's real big, multi-day events, and even the Warped Tour. We went to a bunch of that stuff, and the Vans Warped Tour came through here. We all went to all those shows. And
that's cool. So
it's really funny, man. Like how eclectic of the stuff I've seen and been to.
I'm sure.
I would say as one event that it just popped in my head that was really really crazy. It was New Year's. We were in Japan. It's 2000, I want to say 3, might have been 2. We're at Nagano. We've been snowboarding, and it's New Year's night, and so we don't really know what there is to do. There, people are like, "Oh, they're gonna have this thing in the village," and so there's all these travelers out on this mountain. So we all go over to this thing, and everyone's just walking to this one area, and we can hear the music, and it's like some people are spinning, and it's really good. It's packed. I mean, packed in there. Tons of Japanese people, tons of foreigners from all over the world. Everybody's like pumped up. Everybody's like really into the music, dancing and stuff like this. We were not ready, bro. the people were spinning, and this guy, one of the Japanese DJs, he's spinning, and he gets pumped up, and as he puts on his track, the wall opens up, and it's the gigantic Japanese drums, and they're like doom 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 doom. It was incredible, and we were. So cool. I'm like from me to you from the deck. Like,
That's
like,
so cool.
I'm right there, and it was like you could feel it. I mean, the subs are hitting, but I mean the drums are going. It was absolutely wild, and no one was ready. Like we didn't know it existed.
Sure.
Suddenly the wall moves, and it's just these massive. I want to say it's like 3 or 4 big sets of drums, and they're all playing up. Boom, 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 boom.
That's so cool.
Incredible.
So cool.
Really cool. As a moment, we were like, wow, this is not reproduce. We can't reproduce this anywhere. Sure. It's really cool.
That's very cool.
Yeah, I like that.
Man, some great takeaways today. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers go to those that are going through suffering. Also, the school shootings and things happening recently. And very thankful that we had a chance to talk about creativity, talk about competence, talk about some of these things. But the blessing that we get to walk in this thing, in this adventure with God. So,
amen.
What a blessing.
That's right.
Friends, we're so thankful that you joined with us. We appreciate you. Love you. Thank you for being part of the collective. Much love.
That's right.